Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Alright.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 2023 Season 2 of Ray Esports. We're at Summit Point tonight for Round 5 of the season, and tonight will be the Spec Racer Fords and the Mazda Miatas. Unfortunately tonight, our regular play-by-play man, Greg Ginsburg, is feeling under the weather, so it will be me, Jack Ritchie, and Morgan Burkhardt in the booth tonight, with Lee Thompson holding it down as our producer tonight. Well, Morgan, we don't have all of these facts and things that Greg usually has about the tracks, because the man's like a encyclopedia about every single track that we go to, but it's just us tonight. What do you think?
Well, there's something to be said about a commentator does his research, but I'm gonna have to hold this one down tonight. This is my home track. I live about 15 minutes from the front gates here. I've been coming here since I was about 6 years old. Earlier than that, actually. It's as long as I can remember. But it's a wonderful place. It's home to one of the most competitive and well-subscribed club racing venues in the SECA. It has 250 cars every weekend that they run here. It's been running since 1969. Paul Newman used to have his first couple of races here. With Bob Sharp running Nissan Tweedy Z's, and Tom Cruise raced here a couple times as well with Bob Sharp. So it's got a ton of history. There's a lot of pedigree. A lot of pros have gotten their start here over the years.
Yeah, I was doing a little bit of research, kind of like how Greg does, just not as intense, but I saw that MZ used to race here in Trans Am, and those are some of the bigger sports car series that have run in America, over the last 50, 60 years, right? But before we get this thing going tonight, we are going to look at the track guide that you have actually provided us, Morgan, so that'll be pretty cool. And if you have any insight on that after that runs, definitely let us know, and we'll take a look at that real quick.
Hello everyone, my name is Morgan Burkhardt for Delta Sport US, and welcome to the 2-mile, 10-turn Summit Point Raceway nestled in the heart of West Virginia. This happens to be my home track, one of my favorite places to drive on earth. I would mark it in the top 5 drivers' tracks across the country. Coming down the long half-a-mile front straight, it's all downhill, so you get quite a lot of speed going before you get to the hard braking zone at turn 1. You're gonna want to come in track left, make this a really late apex corner. You don't want to really use all the road on the exit of here in this car, as it doesn't really maximize the speed coming out of the corner. Turn 2 to 3 is just a straight shoot. You wanna make a really straight line so you can maximize your entry for turn 3, and then we're gonna use what's called the Tristan Herbert line, just dropping 2 tires on the exit of turn 3 because the track comes right back to you and into the chute. The fastest corner on the track coming back to driver's right on the exit of 4 into 5, making sure you can get it down to the apex, open up the turning, and then into the carousel. Turn 6, making this a really late apex corner, washing out towards the middle, double apex into 6B, through, just getting the flow right into 7, more late apexing, and then up the hill into 8, carrying the speed, running out all the way, using that curb, and then up the hill, coming straight under the bridge at turn 9. You want to minimize the amount of distance that you have to travel going into turn 10. Late apex, really fast corner, getting the car to wash out, using all the rumble strip and a little bit of gravel on the exit, and then down the front straight to complete and start our next lap of Summit Point Raceway for Ray Esports in the Global MX5 Cup.
Welcome back. That was our guide by Morgan Burkhart, and we don't usually have you in the booth to be able to like break down, you know, your lap for us, but walk us through the lap a little bit as we ride along with Justin Huffman.
Well, it's turn 3. It's a very tricky corner, and like I said in the lap guide, you get the Tristan Herbert line coming through turn 3. There's a dropping 2 tires just off the right side of the track. It doesn't really give you a 1x, and then you're coming down into the chute. This is where everybody gets caught out. It's a likely passing opportunity on on lap 1. Everybody kind of gets super anxious and wants to get the move done, so they launch one down the inside. Sometimes ends well, but other times it ends up with people getting clobbered. But the carousel, this is one of my favorite sections on any track in the country. It's such a flow. If you don't get the beginning of it right, you're you're behind the steering, you're offline for the rest of it, and you're gonna get screwed all the way up the hill into turn 10. And then it's a scary corner. I've had the pleasure of driving it in the real world a few times, and it'll bite you if you don't get it right. There's actually a divot about like half a foot to a foot deep right off the end of the curb. So if you drop a tire, it has a nasty habit of spitting you 90 degrees to the right into the pit wall. And turn 1 is going to be the likely passing zone for tonight. But it's Justin. I think he locked a rear. That he's gonna park it, or is he gonna? Nope, he's gonna rejoin. Okay. Maybe? Nope. All right. It's Megan Overstreet now coming through turn 10. It's so important to get a good run out of that corner and then launch down the front straight. It's downhill, so it helps you a little bit, but it's where all of the passes are going to happen without a mistake.
Yeah, and I kind of wonder if we're going to see any of these drivers overbreak that turn 1. I'm sure we will, especially on the first few laps. They're trying to get as many positions as possible because, as we talked about a little bit during the track guide, I mean, it's pretty much a single-lane track, and there's not very many passing opportunities on this track, so you have to be able to take advantage of it when you can, and it's a very easy track to overdrive as well. So, with about 4 minutes left here in qualifying, we got Beans Forrester on the provisional pole by about 1/10 of a second, and then Huffman in second, Josh Soto in third. We were kind of talking about our favorites, you know, a little bit in the pre-race. Who do you have tonight? Maybe a couple of the guys that you're looking out for.
Well, I thought it was going to be Jamison Huffman, but the father, Justin, has pulled the blinder here for me. And he's very fast in the real world. He drives a FE2, and he's got multiple track records across New Jersey Motorsports Park, Summit Points, and I think Pittsburgh International Race Complex as well. But this is a little bit different for him, and he's right up there with Beans, who has been very fast all season and all throughout the Ray Esports. So I'm gonna have to pick one of the Huffmans. I'm gonna get a freebie there. I'm just gonna say Huffman. And I don't know. Josh Soto looks really racy. He's always able to race a little bit better than he qualifies. So it's gonna be interesting though. We've got 9 cars now within 0.4 of a second. So it's incredibly close. Any mistake that you're gonna make is gonna put you down 4 or 5 spots, and especially with how close it is, the draft is going to keep them all nose to tail. So if you get a bad run at a turn 10, say, you'll have a freight train suddenly come by you, and then you're gonna find yourself offline and down 4 or 5 spots.
Alrighty, and before we get started on the race tonight, we're going ahead and going to do our presenting sponsor for the Spec Racer for tonight, which is Spec Racer Sports. Spec Racer Sports' mission is to help fuel and support your addiction to road racing. And Spec Racer Sports delivers by providing the parts and services you need when you need them at a fair, competitive price, and all with exceptional customer service. Located trackside at Motosports Ranch, Houston, Spec Racer Sports offers exceptionally prepared Spec Racer Fords for rental and for sale, storage and support, and driving coaching as well as technical services such as chassis dyno work and fabrication. To find out more about Spec Racer Sports and their services, visit www.specracersports.com. Now, I thought I did okay with that. Greg nails that a lot better than I do, but for my first time, I think I did okay. I think he would say that I did okay. But I'm excited to see how much racing we have going on tonight. We got these cars, and then we have the Miatas as well, which, as you mentioned, there's a lot of draft in both of these series. What do you think is going to happen with this race in particular first? Well, you already said this one, and then we have the Miatas as well with the drafting. But do you think we're going to see some wild racing, or do you think they're going to be pretty tame?
Well, I'm going to predict here, and knowing that I'm predicting this, the opposite will happen. But I'm gonna go ahead and predict that we're going to get a little bit of a tame race to start. And then towards, we might get to halfway before they start throwing the gloves off and start duking it out. We may not, I don't know. But given with how last week's races went, when it was pretty much fighting the entire race long, it was spectacular to watch, and it ended up in a race that nobody really wanted to win coming up to the last lap. I believe Skip Brock Jr., who is sitting 10th currently, walked away with the win last week. So I think we're gonna get another race, another finish like that. But I don't think that it's not. Watkins Glen has a lot more straights, it has a lot more passing opportunities. This track does not. So I think we'll get a more technical, nose to tail kind of mind game of a race.
Yeah, I think that we might get something similar to what we saw at Sonoma as well. I'm a little disappointed that I had to miss that race last week, but I watched some of the broadcasts, and it was some pretty crazy racing. So we have about a little less than 30 seconds left in qualifying, and Beans is still on top here with Joshua Soto in second, Justin Huffman in third, and Charlie Vaccaro. That is a good qualifying run for him tonight so far in fourth. I think another one to watch out for is Giancarlo Schooler in fifth. I mean, this is a really fast field. I would say there's probably 6 to 8 guys that could, and girls, because Megan Overstreet is fast as well. I think that, you have 6 to 8 drivers that have a shot to win this thing tonight. What do you think?
For sure, there's anybody can make a mistake at any point in time. So it's going to be whoever's most consistent, whoever's cleanest, whoever's tidiest is going to be able to walk away with the win here. And of course whoever races the best. But we've got Charles Vaccaro sitting up in P4. It's a lot higher than he normally qualifies, so he's done a really good job as we see him coming into the pits there, I think. So we got a couple new faces, some of these guys that aren't really used to racing each other. I know Schooler's going to be wanting to come up the field pretty early. I know Jameson Huffman as well, as they're starting nose to tail, as we got a bunch of people taking the jump right after the checkered flag. That's the Summit Point classic right there. But it's going to be interesting. There are definitely, like you said, 6 to 8 people who have the pace and the ability to win the race. So it's really up in the air currently. And don't forget, we can't count out Skip Brock and Josh Justice, who are just 2/10 off of P9. They're only half a second off. So the field spread here is incredibly close, as we got Murphy Nichols just popped into the session, went 17th on his first lap, and I don't think he'll be getting another one, but he's going to go around for practice anyways. So I think we should be watching him to come back into the top 10 as well towards the end of the race, because I know he's got some pace.
All right, well, we don't have you stinking up the show tonight, so we might actually get some new front runners here tonight as we wait for these last few seconds to end so we can look at the grid and get some racing going.
I think I've had the pleasure of racing these guys a ton. It's all super clean. They're all really respectful drivers. So I think it's gonna be a barnstormer. I can't really say anything more than that. I'm excited to watch this race. I'm excited to call it. But as we're qualifying is coming to an end, the drivers are going to be getting ready to grid. As we're looking at your starting grid for the Spec Racer Ford race 1 of Ray Esports, it is Benjamin Forrester on the pole with a time of a 118.724, with Joshua Soto being his row mate and on the outside front row. Back in 3rd and 4th place, we got Justin Huffman and Charles Vaccaro. 5th and 6th has Giancarlo Schooler and Miles Crabb. followed up by the number 89 machine of Jamison Huffman and Jim Brewster up in P8, only 3/10 off. It's like a really good showing for him. Megan Overstrait sitting in P9 with Skip Brock Jr. in P10, and that is half a second off the pole. Top 10 cars within half a second of each other. So Josh Justice sitting in 11th. Nagisa Yoshikawa, another one that I did not realize was here, sitting in P12. He's going to be pretty quick. He's going to want to move up from his starting position. Corey Heffron made his debut with us last week at Watkins Glen, starting 13th. Mark Sherman is his roommate in P14. We got Caleb Pocock in the number 88 with Seth Spolman in the number 42 with Murphy Nichols in the 17. I know he's going to be wanting to get up the field pretty early. Wayne Buttermore in the number 73 machine will be starting 18th, and I think our last car will be Joaquin Effinger in the 700 starting 19th. I do not believe that Andrew Wozencroft is taking the grid, so he will not be joining us tonight, but that's a super stacked field tonight. What do you think, Jack?
Well, we have 19 cars, and as we talked about, I mean, we said maybe 6 to 8 on speed, but with the way that these guys are running, and you're right, they are clean, but accidents happen. I think anybody in this field really has a shot at the victory tonight. So we don't really get to pick the driver's brain too much. Walk me through what you're thinking right here during the pace lap, usually when you're racing every week.
Well, I'm thinking about actually nothing really. I don't really think when I'm coming up to the green, but it's any plan that you make will not survive the first exposure to the green flag is a motto that I've come to live by. Is we're seeing Beans Forrester wanting to be the pace car. He is that ready to get racing here, but it's all about trying to survive lap one, keep your position. Maybe if you're a Giancarlo Scuderia, Jameson Huffman, a Murphy Nichols, you're going to be wanting to come up the field pretty early. And lap one is always where you can make up spots, but it's the most risky point to make up spots because everybody is so tightly packed. So you're going to want to be kind of cautious but aggressive. So cautiously aggressive, which it doesn't really make a lot of sense, but it's something that you gotta have to get through. So as a driver, I'm just wanting to get out and go. If I'm Beans Forrester, I'm going to hope that Josh Soto is caught sleeping on the start and Justin follows me so that they go side by side through turn one. I get a little bit of breathing space as I'm going through the rest of the lap. I get to warm up my tires in peace, not having to fight anybody. But it's pretty much just stay behind the guy that's in front of you and avoid whatever melee is about to happen. So the interesting thing about this track is when you go off, you tend to come right back onto the track, and since it's so narrow, there's not a whole lot of space for everybody to go. So you have to be super careful about watching other drivers, and they go off as we are. Pace car is about to make a sharp exit into the pit lane, and Beans Forrester will take over the field. It's going to be a late green here. iRacing likes to throw it super late, as almost as if they're getting to pit out when we get the green. But Beans Forrester on the front row, Josh Soto next to him. We're going to see the field start to stack up. They're getting tight and they're getting ready. The green will be coming out any minute now. When does Barry drop it? It's going to be green flag is in the air and the drivers are coming off. It looks like Miles Crab's going to pop to the outside, make it 3 wide right off the bat, maybe putting 2 in the dirt as we're starting to fan out towards the back. On the long run down to turn 1, Beans Forrester still in the lead. Josh right next to him. It's going to be pretty even on the brakes. Who's going to make a move? 3 wide on the second row. Charles Vaccaro on the outside of Justin Huffman. He's going to want to make up a move. Beans Forrester takes the lead over Josh Soto coming out of turn 1 as they're still fighting hammer and tong towards the back of the pack. Justin Huffman in third. Soto might look up the inside of 3, but he backs out of it, and I believe that's Giancarlo Scuderia around the outside, taking a lot of the dirt into turn 3. Gets the move done on Miles Crab as they're still trying to fight it coming into turn 4. Oh, Miles Crab goes right back around him, and now we start to see a little bit of single file action, the big stack up into turn 5.
Yeah, it seemed like turn 1 was or not turn 1, but the inside going into turn 1 was where you wanted to be, but it didn't look like the outside line was really that much of it at a disadvantage because of the way the track kind of shifts back and forth. But yeah, you're right, they got singled out pretty quickly, but with this draft, that might last all of maybe a lap or 2 before these guys are diving each other and trying to get those positions back. But do you want to be the leader here, you think?
I'm going to want to lead this race right now. I want to be able to kind of set the momentum, and Beans Forster's in a good spot as we're seeing Megan Overstreet racing. Nagisa Yoshikawa's made up 2 spots on lap 1. Megan fell down 2 spots. Megan on the... Oh, and we got Josh Soto on Beans Forster for the lead pretty early on. Beans is going to hold it around the outside. Josh on the inside. He's going to be able to get a run off the corner, get that car squatted and squared. Looks like Beans has been able to carry a monster run around the outside. He's been able to slot back in front of Josh Soto before they get to turn 3. But in the back, in the background, we got Jamison Huffman following Skip Rock Jr. and John Carlos Schooler just going up the inside here. And we're going to see, Jamison's going to be taking the outside of turn 4. The chute is not a nice place to be on. And he's going to drop a tire. That's a wild ride about to happen. I think that we got away with that. That's very well done from everybody avoiding the wild ride that Jamison just had. It's a little bit of contact further back in the field. We got Jim Brewster on the outside of Joshua Justice through the carousel. Everybody got sorted. I am very surprised that we do not have 4 or 5 cars out of the race right now.
Yeah, that was that seemed like it was a very very clean way to go about it. He did a good job not, freaking out and kind of grabbing the wheel and going back in the traffic, and the rest of the traffic did a really good job avoiding him. But something that we haven't even mentioned yet is Murphy Nichols. He was up 8 positions, but now he's only up 6, which, 2 laps, I still think that's pretty good, up to P11, so I think he is on a mission. But we got some big movers so far. Him and Yoshikawa's up 3 positions, and hope someone had a little bit of a lockup in turn 1. Soto looks like he has grabbed the lead too, but Beans, I don't think is going to let him have it very long.
No, and it looks like Josh Soto is very intent on taking the lead early on in this race, as Beans is going to try and hold it around the outside of turn 3. Is he going to be able to hold it there still side by side as they're coming over the crest of the hill into turn 4? Dead even on the entrance. Are we going to see another Jamison Huffman off here? Soto keeps it on the track. It's a very difficult corner to keep on the track on the outside. Beans is going to slot in behind as they come into the carousel, but this is still, with the fighting of the front too, it's kind of slowing up the rest of the pack. It was a 6-car train at the beginning of the lap, and now there's a bridge between the first pack and the second pack, that being Megan Overstreet. So this is still in. It's only a second gap between Vaccaro and Overstreet, so we're gonna see another stack up. If they keep fighting, it's not gonna really expand as Nagisa Yoshikawa goes up the inside of Josh Justice going into turn 10. It's a difficult move to pull off, but it's a brave one. Justice defending hard down the front straight. Beans is gonna try and go right back at him, gonna hold him down to the inside. Justin Huffman's gonna follow Beans through. Beans is able to outbrake Justice, get the move done before the corner. We're going to see John Carlos Schooler try and look up the inside of Justin Huffman, but was not able to do it. And on the last lap, our fastest man, John Carlos Schooler, set the fastest lap of the race by a little over half a second. As we're still seeing people going side by side pretty much everywhere across this racetrack. And this is an interesting one. Like I said, it's exactly the opposite of what I predicted.
Yeah, I think old Giancarlo was eating up the draft right there. As we had, looks like trouble. Huffman, Jamison Huffman's in trouble and losing positions. Oh my goodness, he was running top 5, top 3. He's back here in 10th, 9th. He's not out of it, but I'd like to see maybe what happened to him there. I'm not really sure. It looked like the same kind of situation that we saw with the previous incident earlier. All right, let's take a look. Did he hit the grass? He looked like he
grass
did.
On entry. And he's just going really deep in. Locked up a tire trying to avoid Josh Soto there, but unfortunate for Justin. And I'm glad that he, after dropping tires on the entry, scratch that for a minute. Beans Forster's going to go back to the lead on Josh Soto down the. Nope, my bad. Josh Soto looking around the outside to take the lead into turn 1, not able to do it. These two. Both of them really want to lead this race, as Josh Soto is now going to look up the inside of turn 3. There's no chill between the two of them. Beans is going to hold the outside again and is able to keep it. This is great racing. And Giancarlo Schooler is going to he's going to follow Beans through and slot into second place over Josh Soto. Miles Crabb is still in behind them, but it is now really a 4-car train for the lead.
All right. Yeah, these guys are dipping and dodging. We have one off the track. Murphy Nichols, our big mover of the night. He's okay. All these guys just keep, going off the track and they get right back on the track and keep on moving. Everybody's doing a really good job avoiding everybody too, so that's really good to see. It's really nice to see some of the better racing on iRacing in this league. Something I've noticed from day one when I started last season, and I love it because everybody's aggressive, but they're really clean in here, and mistakes happen, but it seems like everybody's just like, it happens. We'll go on to the next one next week.
And now we're seeing Giancarlo School, or Josh Soto is going to go back across on Giancarlo Schooler, the ghost car that we got tonight. He's going to be able to make 2 and 1. Oh, Giancarlo Schooler with a little spin in the background, but Josh Soto is going to go up the inside of Beans Forster, going to be drag racing into turn 1, get a car off on the outside here.
Oh, man.
A lot of cars going off around in turn 1. Murphy Nichols able to pick up the spots. Justin Huffman was off. I think Nagisa Yoshikawa was off as well. But Beans Forster's able to hold the outside or inside of turn 3 and slot back in front of Josh Soto. But a lot just happened at turn 1. It seems like 4 or 5 cars just got spun around and off the track. But it's 2 cars at the front now, followed up by Miles. Oh, and another car around in the carousel. Spins off the track. So yeah, Vaccaro's off, and he rejoins safely. But this whole order has been just turned on its head. People have been dropping like flies. Nobody really wants to make turn 1, but they're all continuing. So this is a check in the good column.
Yeah, and I think we need a whole lap of replays to get all those incidents. That was a pretty crazy lap, but it looks like Josh Soto takes the lead again. We have a 2-car battle, but how long do you think, if these two battle like this, will it take for Miles Crab to catch up and, join that battle with them?
I'm going to say no time at all. We have not had a lap where they have not swapped positions, or at least attempted to swap at positions. We're 3 wide coming out of turn 1 towards the back of the pack. Skip Rock Jr. to the right. Jim Brewster in the middle around with Josh Justice. Is that going to work? Man. Somebody's got to give. Skip Rock Jr. goes up the inside. Justice around the outside. Brewster in the middle was smart. He backed out and he facilitated that move being clean, but that was for 5th spot. I've never seen 3 wide into turn 3 work before. That is incredible stuff. As Justice gets a little bit of tire lockup, going to go wide at turn 5. Brewster's going to cut down underneath of him. This is just crazy racing. Everybody is fighting hammer and tong. They are putting everything at the wall trying to see what sticks.
Yeah, Skip Rock is our points leader in this series too, so I think he's really trying to take advantage of you not showing up tonight because you're in 2nd. So he's like, well, we're going to try to go out here and get a top 5, top 3, maybe even a win, and try to extend this points lead, as these two just will not stop battling. But the crazy thing is, in this last lap, nobody's caught him.
Not yet. I think Miles Crab could just be kind of saving tire, waiting for this race to come back by. He was about 0.08 of a second faster, as Justice gets a little, or Soto gets a little loose out of turn 1. Beans is going to take back the lead, but Miles Crab is just inching closer and closer to that draft. He's about 1.3 seconds back. He's going to be getting a little bit as we're looking at Corey Heffron back in the field, side by side with Josh Justice down into turn 3. Justice slots in behind. This is a 4 or 5 car train for 5th spot, with Jameson Huffman had an off earlier, is in the back of this, hounding Joshua Justice. He's been able to come back from about 17th spot into the top 10, so he's been having a really good recovery drive, just kind of sizing up Justice, seeing where he can make a move, really close through corners. So I think he's got the pace on him. We'll see if he can make a move going into turn 1 this lap, but it's so important to get the exit of the carousel just rolling. As he drops the tire into turn 8, is he going to be able to hold the slide? He has held it very well. What a save there by Jameson Huffman. But all that work that he had just done, Schooler gets back around him. He is relegated down to 10th. Looking back at this train that he was in, Jim Brewster is about 5 car lengths back from Skip Rock Jr. He's got Chris Heffron right in behind him as back to the lead. We're going to see Beans Forster and Josh Justice going side by side down into turn 1. Joshua Soto, I get the Joshes mixed up tonight. My God. But Soto backs out a turn 1 move on Beans Forster. They have not calmed down. But interestingly enough, Miles Crab kind of just matching him, really. Yeah, he's not really making inroads on him.
No, and we have Megan just kind of in a whole, she's just chilling, 4th place. Anything can happen in front of her. She's like, that's cool. Anything can happen behind her. That's cool. She's like, she's just running her own race at P4. Hey, I've been in that position. Yeah, I ain't mad at that. But yeah, this battle back here for 5th is just keeps on going. I mean, Skip Rock doesn't look like he can break away from the rest of them. And then the rest of them are just like, yeah, I want P5 too, and they want a top 5, because you know a top 5 just sounds better than the top 10. You know what I mean? 5th sounds better than 6th. And it is, so that's what you want. But as these guys are racing really hard, I mean, Megan's pulling away from them, and I mean, they might allow Nichols to catch up. He's about 3 seconds back, and it's about 8 minutes left. I'm not sure if those guys can catch this little group, but you never know. Things happen all the time. Yeah, 8 minutes left, and we come back to these two again. Still battling.
12.5 minutes of just side-by-side action between our two leaders, with Josh Soto to the outside going into turn 3. Beans Forrester just noses ahead on entry. We're going to see who's able to take the spot, and Beans Forrester goes deep into the corner. Gets a bad run. Josh Soto's able to get a monster run off the corner. He's going to take the outside of turn 4. It's a brave move to make. We'll see if he can make it stick. He's going to run just inside the track limits. Beans Forrester on the outside of turn 5, still side-by-side. Beans is now on the inside, the preferred line into turn 6. He's going to be able to get the move done on Josh Soto. But Miles Crabb just made up half a second in about 3 corners, so he is now well and truly inside the drafting range of these two leaders, as they just have not stopped fighting the entire race long. It's something that I've noticed with Skip Rock Jr., Jim Brewster, Corey Heffron in that battle for 5th. They're doing the more co-opetition route. They're gonna wait to fight until the end. They're gonna kind of stay in line, bump draft each other down the front straight, see if they can make inroads on Megan Overstreet, instead of just kind of fighting hammer and tong every lap and seeing what happens. So this is why this Beans Forrester, Josh Soto, I would say Miles would be catching them, but he hasn't really made inroads. He was about half a second faster last lap, but we will see if his newly acquired draft will be able to ramp him back up to the 2 leaders and make it a 3-car train for the lead. But looking back here, Corey Heffron, Jim Brewster, Josh Justice. I actually got the right Josh that time, but Skip Rock Jr. leading this pack. They really have not spread out, and I don't think they will, bar any mistakes from the 4 of them. So we'll see how this plays out towards the end. If I'm Skip, I don't really want to be leading this train right now coming into the final 5 minutes of this race. I want to be a Corey Heffron or a Jim Brewster. I want to have my options a little bit open. I want to have the benefit of the draft, as we're seeing Nagisa Yoshikawa without a nose cone going around the outside of Mark Sherman, I believe. Into turn 3, that car is not going to be wanting to handle real well, not going to be very fast in a straight line, but is able to get the move done around the outside at turn 3.
No, it's not, but we saw Megan finish, I think, either 5th or 6th, something like that, a couple weeks ago with the same exact car. It looked the same exact way, too, and we were befuddled on how she was able to run as fast as she did without a nose cone, but she did it, and that was cool. But something I wanted to ask you is, all right, so you're either Beans or you're Josh Soto. When does this battle turn from really fun to kind of frustrating, because you're like, all right, we are closing in on the final laps of this race. How do I get away from him?
Well, that's a good question, actually. And Beans Forrester, his best lap is about 4/10 faster than Josh Soto. So if I'm Beans, I'm gonna want to be really putting my head down. We're gonna pause that for now, as Giancarlo Schooler and Murphy Nichols made a little bit of contact coming out of turn 1 side by side into turn 3. Murphy on the outside is going to be able to run it around, and he's got a good run off the corner. They're still side by side as they're coming over the hill into the chute. Schooler gets the nose ahead a little bit, but this outside very dangerous to do, and he's been able to run it. Murphy's still on the outside, not able to hold it, but really tight, really clean racing between.
Oh, no.
And Schooler's gone around into turn 6. Looked like a downshifting error there, just caught a gear too early. And he's going to struggle to rejoin here, but well done to stay out of people's way and not collect anybody on the rejoin. Unfortunate for him, but really, really close, tight racing up until that point. But these 4, still nose to tail.
Yeah, these four are still battling for that pivotal top 5. Skip Brock still in 5th with Brewster 6th. Heffron, one of our bigger movers tonight, up 6 positions. He's running P7. And Joshua Justice just clocking laps in a solid 8th position. That seems to be what he does, and he does a really good job of that. Every week I always see him, he's running maybe back half of the top 10, but he keeps his nose clean, and I think that's important as well. Sometimes you just don't have the pace as the front guys, and, I think you could get there eventually, but it's one of them deals you got to take what you get, right? As he looks like he's making the pass on Heffron, he's up to P7. Nice clean pass by him. Everybody's racing really clean. As we saw, that last lap battle was really insane between Schooler and I don't remember who it was. Was it Huffman?
Murphy Nichols. Murphy
Nichols. Okay.
Huffman and Schooler have both taken the trip down the pit lane. I think their nights are done. As we've got now only 16 cars still running here tonight. Wozencroft was never in it. Vaccaro is now out about 3 laps ago. I did not catch that, but Schooler and Huffman in the pit lane. I don't think they will be rejoining the race, but Justice able to make the move on Corey Heffron. We're going to see if he's going to be able to run down Skip Brock and Jim Brewster. He's got a little bit of momentum going for him now. It's all about momentum in this category. If you can move up, you feel great. You do well. If you're moving back, you get a little bit of anger in there. You get a little bit of red mist. It's harder to drive fast. As Brewster was going to look up the inside of Skip Brock there, and Justice had to check up on the exit to not run into the back of him. And all that time that he gained under braking is now lost on the exit. We're going to see Corey Heffron giving him a little bit of a bump draft going into turn 3. We'll see if those two can work together, get some of this co-opetition in, and run those two back down for the 5th spot.
Yeah, and it looks like they're all catching Megan a little bit too, but I'm not sure. I don't think they're going to get her in time. I think she's still a little bit, she's a couple seconds ahead with maybe, a lap and a half, 2 laps to go. So I think she's good to go, but it's just one of those races to where you just didn't really have anybody around you. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Be nice if it was in the lead, but P4 isn't too bad either. As we look at the lead, it looks like Forrester's been able to pull away from Soto by about a half second. I think he's broken the draft a little bit, and unless Josh Soto is saving something for these last few moments, which you never know with him. He's kind of a wild card, but he's really fast. So as we got the white flag in the air, this is the last time. This is the big passing corner right here. He's a little bit too far back to make that move as they both come out of the corner. Oh, it looks like Corey, as we talked about, this is the passing move. He's going to dive into Joshua Justice. Oh, I thought they made a little contact, but he didn't. I think Justice is going to have the momentum off the corner. He does, and nothing going for him. Meanwhile, back at the front, Soto is catching Beans very, very quickly. There's maybe 1 or 2 more opportunities that he has as they dive into this tricky corner. This is the trickiest part of the track, these next few corners. Some of the slowest corners as well, but you have to nail them to gain all that momentum for the last segment of the track.
And this is going to be interesting for Josh Soto. I don't think he's going to be close enough. He did not get the run that he really needed coming out of turn 6. Beans did a wonderful job coming out of turn 8. He's able to gap about 5 or 6 hundredths of a second up the hill. Josh Soto, if he's able to get a monster run out of turn 10, I could see it happening before start finish. But Beans, again, wonderful run out of turn 10. And he is about 3.5 tenths clear. He's going to take the win tonight in Spec Racer 4. Beans Forrester followed up by Josh Soto. Miles Crabb finishing in 3rd, about 1.4 seconds back from those two. Megan Overstreet on a little bit of a race of her own. Finishes in the 5th spot, followed by Brock, Brewster, Justice, and Heffron, all in a pack. Nothing really changed in the order there, as we're going to see Nichols going to come home. Oh, Huffman beat Nichols to the line by about 600ths of a second. Justin Huffman in front of Murphy Nichols. Yoshikawa is going to finish 11th. Caleb Pocock will be in 12th. That was close between Huffman and Nichols across the line. Saw that just in the background there. But Seth Spolman will come across the line 13th. Joaquin Effinger will be crossing the line in 14th. And rounding out the top 15 will be Mark Sherman.
Alrighty, and it looks like we have a couple guys in here waiting. We can grab, let's see who we got. We got Miles. Well, we can grab Miles at a P3 finish and see what he thought about that race. Miles, P3 tonight, man. You got to watch the battle between the front two this whole race. Walk me through what you were seeing the whole race.
A really good battle is what I saw. I was hoping they would mix it up a little bit more, but even when they did, I wasn't able to really catch up to them. They drove a great race and did a great job battling. I noticed when we loaded the race session that the temperature went up a lot, so I put a little bit softer rear bar in it, and it was a good decision because I finished the race when a lot of people spun out, but I was only able to break even with the leaders. I couldn't really get the drive off the corner to catch them, but it was fun watching, and it was the first few laps were really interesting, dodging cars, spinning, and all that stuff.
Yeah, it seems like to be the trend of racing in general, right? You got to dodge, and then you got to do your own thing. But is it a little frustrating that you watch these guys bad, and you're like, come on, man. Like, why am I not gaining time on them? They are side by side the entire lap.
Oh, yeah. It's really frustrating when you just only break even with them, which shows you how good of a setup they had, that they were able to pull away while sideways. And I also just don't have a lot of time in this car, so really go-karting it into the corners isn't my thing, and I think you needed to do that to be fast. That's what Josh was doing, so he finished second and had a good shot at it. So yeah, like I said, it was fun to watch. A little frustrating, but fun to watch.
Alrighty, well, heck of a podium. Is there anybody that you'd like to thank?
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. And thank y'all for broadcasting this. I see it's a little bit of a light crew tonight. Thank y'all for showing up.
Yeah, a little bit, but that's okay. Greg's usually our anchor, but he's not here tonight, but that's okay. We got me and Morgan in here. We're holding it down pretty good, I think.
Y'all do a great job anyway.
All right, well, thank you, Miles. Thank you, and we will see you next week, or maybe even later tonight. Are you racing the Miatas as well?
I'm racing the Miata.
Perfect.
I actually had a decent lap time in practicing it, so let's see how this goes.
All right. Well, we'll see you later on tonight then. Thank you. Alrighty, Morgan. All right.
We can bring in Ben Forster here as well. Hi, Ben. How are you tonight? That was an interesting one for you. Walk me through your race here.
That was a lot tougher than I thought it was going to be. And the amount of times me and Josh went too wide with one another, and sometimes I was not where I wanted to be, and I still held it. It kind of surprised me.
Yeah, I saw that you guys were super tight, super close through pretty much every corner. It was up until the end of the race. It was pretty much side by side, lap after lap. But did you think you had the pace on them? Were you trying to run away, or was it kind of just let's just fight this out?
I enjoyed the fighting. Was awesome. It was so much fun. But we all want wins, so getting that little break towards the end there was kind of a little sigh of relief and relax a little bit.
Yeah, it's always nice when you get a little bit of a gap, about half a second, 0.6, and then he was able to kind of run you down towards the end. But you stayed strong. You didn't really give him any opportunities. You had a really good run out of turn 8 and turn 10 on the final lap. Didn't really give him any opportunities. But before we let you go, who would you like to say hi or thank you to?
Just thank you guys for putting on such a good broadcast. All the drivers for their performance and making this league what it is.
Well, thank you for giving us a good show to talk about.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
All right, that was Beans Forrester, your winner tonight in Spec Racer Ford. And I think we're going to go ahead and take a little bit of a break before we go away.
Nope, we have Josh real quick. Josh, walk us through P2. You had a crazy battle there for the win. Walk us through it.
Oh, yeah, it was a very tough battle with Ben and all the cars that are up there. Yeah, it's just try to survive the the lap in this car. I mean the laps in this car is it could be really tricky, especially in the braking zones, the high speed braking zone. So yeah, it was just try to maintain a good pace while not locking up the brakes.
Yeah, I mean, you guys put on a wonderful battle, and it was really fun for us to watch. And, I mean, shame to get P2, but hey, that's still silver. It's on the podium, and you guys put on a really good show, so that was awesome to watch. Thank you so much for that. Is there anybody you'd like to thank this week?
Yeah, I would like to thank Apex Racing for the broadcast, Esports, and everybody that's involved.
Alrighty, and we will see you in the Miatas tonight, right?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, well, thank you so much, and congratulations on the P2.
All right, thank you.
Alrighty, that was Joshua. That was Joshua Soto for P2, and now we're going to take a little break before we bring the Miatas to you guys. We're really excited about that as well. So give us a few moments, and we'll be right back. And welcome back. After a brief break, we have the Miatas qualifying right now for their race tonight. I think they're on round 3 or 4. I'm not really sure which one of this season, but I think this might be the crazy race to watch, Morgan. I mean, we saw a relatively tame race earlier. Still some action, but I think this one with a large field, what do we have? We have at least, it looks like 25 or 26 cars. My goodness. This is going to be a barn burner, I think.
For sure, and I think we're in luck with the iRacing 2023 Season 3 update patch. We are on Season 3 now. The Season 3 update patch came out. These cars are now a little bit pushier. They're a little bit less easy to... They're a little bit more difficult, is what I'm trying to say. A little bit more difficult to slide around, so they're a lot less dangerous to drive, which is a lot of the problem that we've seen here in the past with these cars just being loose on cold tires. And immediately as I say that, we see Reach and Brick getting a little bit loose out of turn 1. So maybe I'm just speaking complete trash. So we'll see. I know in my testing with this car that I did a little bit of today, it seemed to be a lot more user friendly on cold tires. Didn't try and just rip your head off at any possible given opportunity. But as we're seeing Reed Chenebrook let Jameson Huffman through there, all these drivers are going to be wanting to get a lap in before they start to mess with the draft here. It's very important that you get a banker time in, as we're seeing Reed Chenebrook is your provisional pole sitter. It's very, like I said, it's very important to get a banker lap in so that you can get onto the grid. You don't want to find yourself messing around with the draft and then, you know, find yourself in the last 3 minutes of the session not where you really want to be because you've had incidents with the draft. You've had 1 extra laps, they've been invalidated, and you're sitting down outside the top 15 when you know you have top 5, top 10 pace. So again, with this group, we're seeing a top 10 spread of about 0.7 of a second, and I imagine that we're only 9 minutes into qualifying. It's only going to get closer than that. It's worth watching Trenton Kramer, who joined the DC region at the majors this year in a grass paddock motorsports Mini Cooper, and I believe B-Spec, and he's had some interesting affairs throughout the course of that season, especially at Mid-Ohio. I was watching his video where it was pouring down rain, and that car going through Madness and Thunder Valley was anything but straight.
Yeah, it's almost like F1, right? You put in your lap, and then you kind of wait for the last couple moments, and then you're like, all right, well, let's go see if we can put in another lap that's even faster. And whether it is or not, that's what it is. But yeah, you're right. You need that lap that at least has some kind of speed to it, because you don't want to rely on that draft or something, you know, because like anything can happen in these qualifying sessions just like that. Rich Green almost hit someone, and, you know, that ruins your whole lap. But before we get into this race tonight, let's talk about our presenting sponsor, Grassroots Motorsports. Built for the true sports car enthusiasts, Grassroots Motorsports has one mission: to be your personal guide to the sports car world. Whether it's online at grassrootsmotorsports.com, in person, or in print, the racers and builders, the car nerds, at Grassroots Motorsports take you behind the scenes and show you how to make your car better. Along the way, they'll give you a taste of everything this hobby has to offer, from 1,000 horsepower track monsters to cool street cars built in driveways. They also maintain a collection of staff-built project cars, because hands-on technical articles aren't typed behind a desk, they're scribbled down in the garage. To not only read, but become part of the story, head over to grassrootsmotorsports.com. And I've actually checked out that website a little bit since I've started coming over and doing some races, and I have to say, they have a really cool website. It's really cool getting the insight and stuff of a bunch of local racers, because the casual racing fan is like, oh, well, there's NASCAR, there's F1, there's IndyCar, but they don't even think about the tons and tons of drivers that are out here doing regional racing. You know, SCCA is a big part of it. Trans Am. All of these racing series are very important to motorsports. And the tracks like this, Summit Point, okay, they don't have an IndyCar race. Who cares? They still have drivers come out every weekend, like you mentioned earlier. And that's important for the health of motorsport. So magazines and things like that are very essential to motorsports. And I'm very, very glad that they decided to come and sponsor the sim racing, because, hey, sim racing's getting bigger and bigger, right?
Exactly. It's an industry that is not really going to be going away. And like we talked about in the pre-show, Summit Point is home to the Mid-Atlantic Road Racing Series of the SCCA, which is one of the most subscribed club racing series in the nation. And I've come out here and I've watched races and Spec Miata, Showroom Spec Miata, you name the class. I've watched the race here and I have been flabbergasted the entire time, sitting down at turn 5, watching all these cars come in nose to tail, with especially our Showroom Spec Miata class of the Washington DC region. It's a 48-50 car field pretty much every weekend, and watching 50 NA Miatas come into turn 5 at racing speeds on lap 1, lap 2, lap 3. They're never really spread out, but it's a show that you'll never really ever see anywhere else. So that's Grassroots Motorsports is. It's so amazing, and Summit Point is pretty much the home of that. There's so much pedigree here, so many people have driven here, and it does not really get much more grassroots than this. As Giancarlo Schooler is now your provisional pole sitter, towing around Beans Forrester, and I think that might be, I wonder if that is David Stab or not. I recognize the car, but I don't think it is. Giancarlo Schooler, your provisional pole sitter, followed by your second place finisher. In second place again for qualifying will be Josh Soto, and that is Soto following in behind Beans Forrester here. So again, super close. We got about half a second between. Oh, and Soto now jumps to the provisional pole with a double draft lap from Schooler and Forster. But yeah, like I said, it's super tight again here. The top 10 separated by under a second. Megan Overstreet, who was a bit in no man's land in our first race with the Spec Racer Ford, is sitting in 5th, just over half a second, as she gets a little bit crossed up on the apex of turn 1, runs out a little bit wide, is going to let the car behind go through without a problem. But yeah, she was a little bit in no man's land in race 1, but she's right back in the fight, sitting in 5th. Nagisa Yoshikawa got involved in a couple melees earlier on, but is again sitting in 10th position, right in there in the fight. So again, with this race, we said there were 6 or 8 people who could win in the Spec Racer Ford. I'm going to say that there's at least 5 or 6 people who can win here in the Mazda Miata tonight.
Yeah, and I think track position is super essential in this. Maybe not because you can't pass, because you can definitely pass with all the drafting zones. I think the more important thing is you need that track position, because these races tend to get a little wild, especially in these Mazdas, man. It can get crazy, as we see right along with Reed Shannabrook. He's in P4 at the moment. But, yeah, these races are insane. And, you know, track positions, you know, is the most important thing, I think. You know, tell me what you think, but I think the track positions usually, you want to qualify in the top 5, I think, to have a shot. But we've even seen things happen up there.
Exactly, and unless you are miles quicker than the guys in front of you, especially at a track like this where it is very narrow, it's very difficult to make positions up. You do want to qualify up top in the field, because it's like I said, it's very difficult to make moves, and if you're not right up there, you're gonna find yourself at a struggle. Even if you are faster than the guys in front of you, if you're not getting huge runs out of corners and they're starting to fight, they're starting to defend a little bit, it gets really difficult to make moves. So track position definitely important, as the checker is now out in qualifying. We've got drivers their last flying laps will count, and we're watching this train of Soto, Forster, and Giancarlo Schooler coming around turn 8 up the hill into turn 10. And a thing that I have not touched on a lot recently tonight is the line through a corner, which does not really seem like a corner, but it is turn 9. Oh, car off-rounded in turn 10, but does not get collected. Coming under the bridge into turn 10, you're going to see a lot of the people who know this track know the nuances of the line in this track, as we're seeing the classic Summit Point jump yet again. We're going to watch Jameson Huffman. I know he's driven here before, and you see he's about half track coming under the bridge. That cuts off about 15-20 feet of drive time, which translate to about a half a tenth of a second. So just doing those simple little things at a track like this makes a huge difference. Like half a tenth of a second is the difference between a 7th position and an 8th position, or it's a position or 2. So our drivers have finished up qualifying. It seems as though Josh Soto will be your pole sitter. As we see Rich Green, is he going to improve on his previous lap time? It does not look like he will. He will remain 18th. Michael Muller is a new name. I have not seen him before. It's good to have more new guys out here tonight. He's going to be coming through the final corner. Will he be able to improve on his previous lap time? Coming down the front straight, and he will cross the line. Currently 23rd. We'll see where he can go. And he does not look like he improves. So pretty much everybody is now done with their qualifying. The order is as you see it. We're going to wait for qualifying to finish, and then we will start the gridding process here. So I think tonight we see the grid here. Joshua Soto is your pole sitter with a time of a 1:20.473. Giancarlo Schooler will be his row mate, driving for Delta Sport US on the outside of the front row. Followed up with your winner from race 1, Benjamin Forrester, in the 3rd spot with Reed Shannabrook. I know he's been very fast in Mazdas previously. We will see how much noise that he can make coming up through the field. Maybe, well, not coming up through the field. He's starting pretty high in it, but we'll see if he can get himself a little bit higher on these first opening couple of laps. Miles Crabb finishing in the third spot, I believe, in race 1, starts 5th for race 2 with Megan Overstreet right beside him. Jamison Huffman, I know he had issues in race 1. I've heard word that he had a shifting problem where it wouldn't really give him a gear. Unfortunate for sure, but I think he's gotten it figured out, or I would hope he's gotten it figured out, starting in P7 with his teammate Murphy Nichols in P8. Skip Rock Jr. in 9th, followed with Nagisa Yoshikawa, and your top 10 separated by a second, just under a second. So it's going to be very close yet again. Michael Snow and Trenton Kramer, 11th and 12th. They are separated by under a tenth of a second. Matthew Snow, 13th. Corey Heffron in P14, followed by Joshua Justice in the 99 machine and Caleb Pocock. Right behind them on row number... I'm not even going to try and do that. Number, I think, 5. No.
8.
Don't quote me on that. I can't do math. Charlie Vaccaro will be in 17th, Rich Green in 18th, followed up with the 933 machine of Jim Brewster and Justin Huffman. Ran really well in race number 1, but with the new updates to this car and not really having a ton of experience in it, he's going to be sitting in P20. It's really hard to learn this car. So followed up with Wayne Buttermore and Don Manning, 21st and 22nd. Michael Muller, the newcomer tonight, we'll see how he gets on, is now 23rd with Joaquin Effinger in the 700, starting in 24th. And yeah, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that guy is not gonna be taking the grid tonight. So rolling off for the pace lap, we're gonna see how this works out.
Well, you heard it here first. Insider info on that guy.
That guy, I don't know who that is, but sounds pretty slow to me. Our drivers are starting to take the pace lap now. I think we're going to see another kind of dynamic that we saw in the Spec Racer Ford race, where there's really just no kind of co-opetition mentality like you would normally see. It's just kind of get it and go. We want to lead. We want to fight. If you're not going to be setting blistering laps, you're not going to be leading.
Yeah, we got some pretty fast guys in the mid pack. Joshua Justice he's shown some speed. We got Yoshikawa who's shown some speed. Murphy Nichols, Skip Brock. I mean, they're all starting at 8th to 12th range, and Caleb Pocock, I'm really hoping... Did he have a good run last week? I really hope he did, because every race I've watched this year, that poor guy has been involved in someone else's mess, and I know he needs another good run, and I like cheering for him because he's always involved in somebody else's shenanigans, and hopefully tonight he's not, and he can get another good run going. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited. We have another fast field, a really big field. 24 cars. This is not a big track. I don't know if we're going to see lap traffic. More likely than not, we're not. But if we have a few incidents, it may come into play towards the end of this race. So as we're going through the final few corners here and anticipating the start, Giancarlo Schooler and Joshua Soto make up the front row. Joshua Soto said he wants to pole this time, so he got it. Last time he started P2, I think he learned a little bit, from Beans. Hey, I need that pole if I want to win this race. And Giancarlo Schooler is looking to recover from that incident that he had from the spin in the last race. I know that he was running really well and didn't want that to happen, but I think this is the race to bounce back from that. Anticipation grows as everybody gets tightly packed together. I know that sometimes you are bumping on whoever you're behind when you're starting these things, and that has to be a little nerve-wracking, right, for the person in front of you, but these guys are gridding up, and we're coming down to the long straightaway and waiting for the green. As you mentioned earlier, it takes forever for this green to get going. Flagman has the flag in hand, but he's not waving it quite yet.
Barry will drop the green now, and we are green flag racing at Summit Point Raceway. Giancarlo Schooler gets a huge jump on Joshua Soto, is able to get pretty much clear of him. That's actually really impressive. The entire left lane has about a 2-car advantage over the right one. Beans Forster gets super loose onto the braking zone, able to keep it down, but we are side by side for 3 or 4 rows straight into turn 1. Schooler with the lead. Shannabrook is going to run around the outside of turn 1 on Joshua Soto, which we're still kind of duking it out, getting single file towards the back of the pack. Overstreet will slot into 4th. We've got a couple drivers in towards the back of the pack still going side by side. Everyone else in front, and we are now a single file train. We're going to see how this comes down into turn 5. Schooler's able to gap about a half a second on to Reed Shannonbrook. He's starting to run away a little bit. We will see how much he can carry, as that is, I believe, Jamison Huffman side by side with Miles Krabs able to get the move done into turn 5. And the car's going around. I believe Trenton Kramer got turned around there going into turn 6. Doesn't collect anybody, but is off on the inside. Now that's going to be a tough rejoin. Able to rejoin, but he is now at the back of the pack, 24th of 24 cars. So he will be really wanting to come back through this pack. But we're looking at back at the front, a little bit of a breakaway for Giancarlo Schooler, about 6.5 tenths over Reed Shannonbrook. Shannonbrook's still in draft, but it's not going to be as powerful as if he was right behind. Just Schooler's starting to weave back and forth like it's the last lap on lap 1, trying to break that draft. I think he's going to be wanting to push really hard early on, trying to break away, as Beans Forster and Megan Overstreet are now side by side with, I think, is Nichols and Huffman side by side behind them, 2 rows side by side. Beans Forster is going to make the move around the outside, a little bit of contact between Huffman and Nichols towards the back. We're going to see they're still side by side, rubbing door mirrors as they're coming into turn 3. Who's going to give out first? Huffman deep on the brakes into turn 3. You can see if Nichols gets the switchback, but I don't think he will. He's slot in behind, and now we'll push back up to Overstreet and Forster, see if they can get back with him. But like I said, Giancarlo Schooler trying to run away. I don't think he's going to be able to. They were pretty close. A little mistake from Reed Shannonbrook. Had a little wiggle through turn 5. Is now a 7/10 gap. So we're going to see Giancarlo Schooler showing some lightning fast pace early on in this race. I'm very, very surprised by that. We got a driver, I think, cut between 5 and 8. I just saw, I think it's our newcomer, Michael Muller, had a little bit of an off going into the carousel, but rejoined safely, did not collect anybody. Very well done from him. It's a bit of a wild ride going straight at turn 5. But Schooler still in the lead as we're coming to the end of lap 2. And that is, he's using all of this track, as Megan Overstreet has had a little bit of an issue. Looks like coming out of turn 8 will fall back again. But Josh Soto looking to the outside of Reed Shannonbrook into turn 1. If I was Soto, I would not be wanting to do that. I would want to push Reed back up to Giancarlo Schooler. And it's a little early to be fighting that hard when you got a very fast driver like Schooler out in front.
Yeah. And we're going to look at a replay of what happened to Megan here. All right. Well,
way off the edge of turn 8.
That doesn't look good. I wonder if maybe a little bit of a punt or...
We'll see here as we're looking at this again. She is in another postcode on the exit of this track. It's going to, I think, maybe grab some grass here.
Oh, man.
Yep, grabbed grass on turn 7. It hooked the car pretty much straight to the left, and she used all of this extra road. Got up on the bank a little bit, and that's what slowed her down. But using all of the road or the exit, is Schooler going to pains to break this draft. As Shannonbrook right back with him, Soto able to push him right back up to Schooler. This is now a 4-car breakaway for the lead. Huffman is in 5th. Gonna see, does Reed want to go for the move this early? I think he will be going. We'll see which horse Soto picks to choose, or maybe even make it 3 wide as they're side by side coming into turn 1. Schooler to the inside, Shannonbrook around the outside. We're gonna see who gets the better run. I think it will be Reed. Shannonbrook gets the run. Nope, I am lying. Maybe not. No. Oh, okay, we're pretty much even. Shannonbrook gets the run, even into turn 3. See who is brave enough. And it looks like Shannonbrook sticks it up the inside, able to close the door on the exit, gets the move done. Shannonbrook to the lead. Oh, Murphy Nichols way off in the background, able to lock that car down and keep it in a straight line. But nose to tail, bump drafting. Got a little close on the braking zone into turn 5. Shannonbrook is still your leader, followed by Giancarlo Schooler, Josh Soto, Beans Forster. But that little bit of fighting, you see Jamison Huffman lurking there in the background, followed by Murphy Nichols. They're starting to come back into this fight. We will see if they can use this draft. They're about a second back, so they'll have a little bit of the draft, but we will see if they can launch themselves back up into it. And we're looking a little bit further back in the pack. Corey Heffron following Caleb Pocock. This little train runs all the way up to Skip Brock Jr. in 9th. Skip Brock, Josh Justice, not really able to be separated, but we'll see. Does Schooler look to the inside, look to the outside, try and make a pass on Reed Shannonbrook? Looks like he's going to be giving him the bump draft. They're going to be pushing. Nope, I lied again. Schooler goes to the inside going into turn 1. He's really wanting to lead this race like we saw with Josh Soto and Beans Forster in race 1. Schooler to the lead into turn 1, followed by Reed Shannabrook. Soto's going to look to the inside on the exits, try and get a better run off the corner. 3 wide, almost into turn 3, but Soto's going to be pushing Reed Shannabrook all the way into this corner. Schooler to the inside, Shannabrook to the outside. Soto gets the run off the corner, goes to the inside of Shannabrook. Still side by side, coming over the hill into turn 4. Still side by side. Wow, and they all sorted out single file. Oh, I lied again. Not single file. Beans Forster around the outside of Josh Soto. But that fighting, like I said, look who's here now. We got Jameson Huffman actually making a move on the inside of Josh Soto. Gets that done on the inside of the carousel. This is now a 6-car train for the lead here, Jack.
Yeah, we have a 6-car train lead, and it looks like we may get a couple more with Miles Crab and Yoshikawa in the background. I think that they want these guys to keep battling too, so we can see even an 8-car train. The crazy part is these guys are able to, be so close together and really not a lot of contacts being had. I think that's wild because not tight, narrow track, and here's some lap traffic. We talked about it. Oh my goodness!
Got close there, trying to use the lap car as a pick, but we're still 3 wide nonetheless into turn 1. Very close quarters. Schooler to the inside, Forster in the middle. A little bit of contact between Forster and Shannabrook and Schooler, but they all sorted out. Schooler able to get about a half a second lead off the car. No, Soto's off hard into the walls. Jameson Huffman follows them. They go off into the void. Schooler still leading. Forster able to make it through. Murphy Nichols promoted to 3rd. Yoshikawa into 4th. But that was a very interesting one there.
On that one, my goodness,
Soto.
And it all started with the lap car, and he didn't do anything wrong. He didn't make any abrupt moves. He just came out of the pits and held his line, but they were trying to use him as a pick, and it just went a little wrong. It looked a little haywire. As we look at a replay here, and Josh Soto looks like he was trying to get back some of those positions that he lost. Passes the 89, and then
his contact with Jameson Huffman, and they both go off into the void. I was watching the wrong car there, but that's an interesting one for sure. I know that's very unfortunate. Two of the 3 of the cars that were in the hunt to lead this race now out of it. It's just a 2 or 3 car train at the front. Schooler going back to weaving down the front straight, trying to break this draft to Beans Forster. 3/10 back, I think he will be able to hold there. We'll see if Murphy Nichols can run them down. Yoshikawa and Miles Crab in 4th and 5th, about 2 seconds back. But that just spiced up the race a ton. We got Reed Shannabrook is now down in 6th, kind of very far back. He's about 6 seconds back. He's going further down in the field. Justin Huffman following Caleb Pocock and Michael Snow with Jim Brewster right in behind. They're having a really nice fight for 10th spot, all trying to get inside the top 10. Very close quarters like it is at the front. It's the beautiful thing about this series is that no matter where you are, you always have someone to race.
Yeah, and how frustrating is it for Soto and Huffman? I mean, if they didn't have the void right there, how much damage did their cars really have? I don't think they were going to have too much, so that's just one of them things, though, that you have to know about this track is you have the void. And that's what it is. That's what we call it on iRacing, and it's one of them deals. And it looks like that was just a racing incident, too. I mean, they were really packed up close right there. It was like 4 or 5 cars under a blanket. Things like that happen. But we're able to keep going on, and Giancarlo Schooler is holding off Beans for now. But Murphy Nichols, who's a big gainer, he started 8th, and Nagase Yoshikawa started 9th. These guys, or started 10th actually, these guys are really, they got to be happy with where they're at right now at this point in the race. They're not halfway, and they're running P3, P4. Miles Crab, who was quiet in that last race, finished in P3. He's in 5th right now, so I mean, we still have 4 or 5 drivers at least with a shot to win this thing.
Oh, for sure. And going back to that incident, I've just gotten word that it was netcode between Soto and Huffman, about a foot of it. So very unfortunate there, but it does happen in iRacing platform. But going back to this lead battle here between Schooler and Ben Forster, it's going to be another, like Forster versus Soto, it's just changing the names up. Forster versus Schooler now. It's going to be a hammer and tong. Ben is going to want to make all of the moves here. Schooler, with how much pace he showed early on, I don't think he's going to be wanting to let him lead. Oh, Caleb Pocock into the trees at turn 3, goes into the void as well. Came off the track backwards, but very unfortunate there. If you go too far off this track, you get the void like we talked about, and that is basically, it's just unmapped sections of the track. It's when the grass stops, and it's just a visual thing. You can literally fall through the floor of this track. So if you go too far, you pay the price for it. But coming down the front straight, Schooler all the way to driver's right, defending against Beams Forster. He's going to go try around the outside. Murphy Nichols sitting in behind. He's going to be loving this. It's going to bring him closer and closer every lap. Forster breaking deep around the outside, going to try and carry a run. Oh, it's getting a little contact on the exit, getting a little bit crossed up. Murphy Nichols is going to come in and pick up the pieces inside of Beams Forster. He's going to get a huge run into turn 3. See who breaks the deepest. And they're still side by side. A little bit of contact at the apex. Forster gets knocked off a little bit, able to keep it straight. Murphy slots into second, followed by Forster in third. Schooler still your leader by about half a second, but super tight racing here. I mean, you're going to rub fenders, you're going to rub doors every now and again. It's bound to happen, especially like a track like this with all these high load corners.
Yeah, do you think any of these guys have tried to use the netcode thing in real life? They're like, nah, man, I didn't bump you. It was netcode.
Oh, I definitely would if that was me. You got to use all the excuses, of course. It's never the driver's fault. Ever.
Right, but I mean, in real life, isn't netcode just kind of like Aero though, like the dirty air? I mean, you could say it's kind of the same thing a little bit.
Yeah,
maybe not, maybe not on these cars as much because we're not going as fast, but. I don't know. I would use the excuse. Why not, right?
If you have the excuse, why not use it? As we're seeing Beans Forster coming down the inside of Murphy Nichols, getting a tow from Giancarlo Schooler into turn 1. Beans is able to get the move done late on the brakes. Murphy's going to kind of facilitate that move happening as we're seeing Crab and Yoshikawa. Crab goes through on Nagisa Yoshikawa into turn 1 for P4. They are about 2.5 seconds back from our lead group, but that could change given how hard these lead two are fighting. Yoshikawa's probably just going to be content to just push Miles now. He's going to do a lot of this co-opetition. I'm sorry, I love the word co-opetition. I will never stop using it, but they're going to compete. How do I explain that? They're going to compete as a team. They're going to want to be bumping back up, and they've already caught a little bit on the leaders here. So these 3 leaders, they're going to get super condensed into corners with Schooler is braking where he normally would, but it's this whole kind of this drafting, these spec classes when they're into the draft. You're super close into a braking zone. It all stacks up as you go in. You have to brake a little bit earlier and earlier, the further back you are in the pack. As Beans Forster is going to look around the outside of turn 10. It's a brave move. He's going to go using all the rumble strips. Schooler gives him room on the exit. Beans is able to get a really good run, running the outside of the corner. He's going to take the lead here. Schooler's going to be able to have the side draft. They're going to be breaking even as they're coming into turn 1. Schooler with a nose ahead. See who breaks latest. See who is able to carry a run out of the corner. Nichols is going to try and look up the inside of Beans, but has the door closed. They're all going to be single file out of turn 1. But yet again, last lap by Miles Crab and Nagisa Yoshikawa. After about half of that lap was over, they caught a second on our leaders. So we will see if these 3 keep fighting hard. It's about to be a 5, maybe even a 6-car train back with Reed Shannabrook.
Yeah, and we're approaching that 5.5 minute left to go. It's about 3 or 4 laps, so we don't have much longer to go. But yeah, as you said, I mean, half a second a lap, they'd be there with the draft, so anything's possible. But something that I noticed when we rode along with Yoshikawa was his windshield wipers. And I think it's funny that those cut on, because we don't have any rain yet. But hopefully, iRacing keeps teasing us with rain. Could you imagine coming down and watching some grassroots motorsports racing on iRacing, Ray Esports, in the rain? I mean, I think that'd be a blast to watch. I don't know if it'd be a blast to race in. What do you think?
I think it would be even better than it already is. Another pack for the lead. We've got contact between our 3. Nichols goes off on driver's right, and a little bit. Schooler tried to squeeze Beans there and ended up making contact. They rubbed doors. They connected, but somehow they all live to survive another day. Schooler to the inside. Beans Forrester is still with them. Nichols is now going to be pushing Schooler into turn 3, still side by side. See who comes out on top here. Beans to the inside is going to able to get that move done. Schooler now relegated to second, Nichols in third, and I think we can call them all lucky that they are now still on the podium and not in the trees. Drivers left down the front. Oh, Schooler with a big lunge down to the inside of turn 5. Late on the brakes, able to get Beans sleeping a little bit and got that move done. Beans now relegated to second, sliding through the carousel. Nichols goes through. Beans now going to be dropping down 4th, maybe 5th, as he gets passed by Miles Crabb, is up into a podium spot now. Nagisa Yoshikawa slots in behind Benjamin Forrester, but 2-car breakaway now. Miles Crabb is about a second back from our 2 cars, Giancarlo Schooler and not Miles Crabb, Murphy Nichols in second place. So a big shakeup there at the front, but looking back a little bit further, we got Michael Snow, who is chasing down, I believe that is Joshua Justice for 7th place, and Charles Vaccaro right in behind him. Anything could happen. We're coming up with three laps to go. These 3 are all still in the draft, so it's gonna be fun throughout the rest of this field. We got our front pack. I'm gonna call it 6 cars, but Beans Forrester looking to make his way back up through this field. Murphy Nichols able to close down on Giancarlo Schooler a little bit. He was about 2/10 faster on that last lap, and he's been able to close it down from about a 6/10 gap to a 2/10 gap now. But Beans Forrester is going to be looking to get back to the back of Miles Crabb, maybe steal that podium spot away, maybe push him back up to Murphy Nichols and Giancarlo Schooler, depending on how much they fight in this last lap. But yeah, like I said, this whole race just got turned upside down here, Jack.
Yeah, it did. And I mean, if you're Miles Crabb, like, what do you do here? Do you just do you decide maybe let Beans go because you know he's faster and just follow him in the draft? Or are you like, all right, no, we're close enough to draft up to Miles and Giancarlo Schooler here? Because, I mean, I would say that, but it looks like he's there now. They're only 5 or 6 tenths apart. Yeah, he's going to be in his draft. Disregard that because he's there now. No need. Oh, man, this battle could get pretty crazy. We got a 5-car battle, and Shannonbrook, if anything crazy happens, can join it too, but I think he's a little bit too far back. And the rest of the field, it looks like we're all pretty spread out. But, I mean, yeah, it's a pretty insane battle. That 3-wide, mess, contact, whatever you want to call it, on the front stretch, kind of got things all shaken up. So, and I don't think Beans is very happy in 4th either. I'm pretty sure he wants to get interviewed by us, so he probably wants to finish in the podium.
He loves us too much. He wants to come back and talk to us. That's what that is. But as we see, Schooler's able to put a little bit of a gap on Murphy Nichols, and I know Schooler has spent a lot of time today as well, I'm going to go out and say this because he is a very good friend of mine, but he doesn't really have much of a life other than iRacing. So iRacing and soccer are really, really his thing. So he's been spending a lot of time with this car at this track, trying to learn it, trying to change the setup after the new tweaks that we've gotten. Nichols able to reel him back in, but Miles Crabb, Nagisa Yoshikawa, with Beans Forrester, they just got swapped around. Beans Forrester went up the inside of Miles Crabb into turn 5, I believe. Nagisa Yoshikawa able to pick up the scraps and come up into 4th place, but that just got turned over as well. But now, with that little bit of fighting, they were about half a second off the back of Murphy Nichols. Beans Forrester is now about 9/10 of a second off, so it's going to be very difficult as we are coming up to the white flag. Giancarlo Schooler, your leader from Murphy Nichols, coming down the front straight. Schooler goes defensive. Will Murphy be able to get a good enough run, throw it down the inside on the brakes? I don't think he will be. He's going to look around the outside. Schooler goes defensive. Nichols deep on the brakes, able to get side by side. Miles Crabb able to get back around Nagisa Yoshikawa for P4. But will Murphy Nichols be able to pull a blinder? They've passed their best passing opportunity. Nichols still very close to, and he's taken all the road trying to maximize the speed through turn 3. Nichols close to Schooler, followed by Beans Forrester. Will we have a change in position? Deep on the brakes into turn 5. Schooler covers it well. And now the most important corner here. Ooh, a little bit of a wiggle there. That's going to stack people up. It gets really stacked up at the apex. Nichols all over the rear bumper of Giancarlo Schooler. We're coming through the carousel. This is going to be interesting. The draft may or may not be powerful enough. We'll see if he can carry enough a run through turn 8. And it looks like he has been able. He's very close. Is he going to be able to throw one up the inside? Schooler goes defensive under the bridge. Will Murphy look to the outside, really be able to get it done around the outside of turn 10? He's going to go for it, maybe get the over-under done. Beans is right there. Giancarlo Schooler not going to get a great run off the corner. Murphy Nichols did, and it's going to be side-by-side across the... Oh, a little bit of a... Oh, nope, not a bump. That's Schooler celebrating side-by-side across the line. Oh, and there...
Oh,
wow. Oh, okay, then. What a finish that we had there. Schooler takes the win by less than a tenth over Murphy Nichols, followed by Beans Forrester, Miles Krabnicki, Yoshikawa, Shannabrook in 6th, as we're looking at this battle for 7th place. Michael Snow passes Josh Justice and Charles Vaccaro for 7th, 8th, 9th. And then back with Michael Snow. No, not Michael Snow. No, I got that wrong. Michael Snow finishing in 10th. Jim Brewster and Justin Huffman 10th and 11th. Trenton Kramer P12. And Megan Overstreet having an issue earlier on, able to fight back and put it into 14th. Corey Heffron will be 15th in that flat-out Motorsports car. And then Michael Mueller having an incident early on in the race, taking a little bit of a straight line into turn 5, able to recover up to 16th, followed by Joaquin Effringer and Rich Green are going to come maybe not side by side. Joaquin Effringer just beating out Rich Green by about 0.2 of a second. But oh boy, I need a breather after that one. That was a hell of a finish between our top 3 drivers.
Oh yeah, and all of our fans out there that may think that these guys are actually flipping in real life, they're not. It's okay. They're just flying all over the racetrack because that's what we do here.
They might be flipping. You never know. They might be doing little donuts in their rooms, in their cockpits. But our race results tonight: Giancarlo Schooler taking the win by 77 thousandths of a second over Murphy Nichols. Benjamin Forrester will be 3rd. Miles Crabb finishing 4th, followed by Nagisa Yoshikawa in 5th. Reed Shannabrook, after that mid-race incident, will come back to finish 6th. Gained a lot of time towards the end, but just did not have enough race distance to be able to make anything of it. P7 will be Michael Snow, followed by Joshua Justice, Charlie Vaccaro, and that's why I got crossed up. They both look like M. Snow. Sorry, apologies, Matthew. Matthew Snow will be in 10th, rounding out our top 10. And now let's look to see if we've got anybody in the green room. We got Giancarlo Schooler is in here, our winner from race number 2 tonight. JC, walk me through your race tonight. It was a barnstormer for sure.
Yeah, it was a good race. It was tons of fun out front. The battle with Joshua Justice early on, Joshua Shota early on was a good one, and then ended up coming down between me and Murphy Nichols, and it was a great fight all the way to the line.
Yeah, for sure. It was super tight all race long, but walk me through your strategy. It looked like you wanted to lead. It looked like you had a lot of pace on the early part, but were you just trying to walk away, or were you going to kind of keep people with you?
Yeah, so early on the strategy was to try to break the draft and walk away if possible in the first 3 laps. I've done thousands and thousands of laps in this car, so I know the car on cold tires pretty well. I feel like that's where my biggest advantage is. So I was going to try to break away in the first 3 laps, but after I realized that wasn't going to work, I started to conserve some tires and save for the end of the race just so I can make the late race push that I needed to get the win.
And that's exactly what you did with a nice late braking move into turn 5 on Benjamin Forrester. But I did say this early on. I know I said you didn't really have a life out of iRacing and soccer, but this guy is incredibly accomplished. He's been at racetracks all across the country so far this season, supporting his friends. But is there anybody you'd like to say thank you or hello to before I let you go?
Thank you to Delta Sport. Thank you to my family. Thank you to Elite Performance Industries. All the guys at All Sports Racing, you guys at Apex Racing for putting on this great show, and Stevie Ray for putting on this league, and thank you to all the competitors that made it a great race.
Well, thank you for joining us here tonight. Congratulations on your win in the Global MX5 Cup. We will see you next time.
Thank you.
All right, let's get Murphy Nichols in here. He finished P2 tonight. Murphy, walk us through that battle. We just got Giancarlo's point of view. Walk us through your point of view of that race.
My point of view, I don't know. Where did I start? I started toward the back, and it was really just sort of work the way up. And then obviously there was the big incident between Jameson and so at that point it was like, all right, I know Beans and JC are really quick and they tend to get racy, so if I can just kind of chill behind them, sort of pick my moves, save my tires a little bit, and then I felt like I was able to, when I saw Beans had his mistake in 6, I was like, all right, here's my chance to slide through on him. And then I knew I could slowly start to chip away at JC, and at the final lap especially, I was right on his bumper, but just didn't really have enough to get a pass done. But that being said, it was still a really good battle nonetheless between all three of them. I mean, JC and Beans are two fantastic drivers on their own, so to be able to take it to them, I'm really happy with it.
Yeah, and I mean, you made up 6 positions too, from P8 to P2. I mean, that's got to be, these things, this is a hard track to pass in, this is a hard car to pass in, so I mean, that's got to be feeling pretty good with Silver. So, who would you like to thank for this week?
First off, big shout out to my girlfriend Kate for putting up with me the whole 2 races while I was on call with her. Also my parents, Smoketown Brewing Station, Tacos Del Mar, and you guys as well for always putting on a really good show.
Alrighty, thank you, and we will see you next week.
All right, see you guys.
Alright, and lastly, our last interview of the night. I'm going to let Morgan take this one. It's going to be Beans Forrester, who finished P3 tonight.
So Beans, you had it was a little bit of a rough race from what I saw. Walk me through how you kind of tried to make your way through the pack here and see what you could have made out of it. Walk me through it.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. A little bit of elbows out racing.
Well, yeah, and I saw a couple times when there was a lot of rubbing, there was a lot of door banging, but somehow it all ended up really pretty okay. So how did you kind of try and make your mindset adapt to what you saw the guys in front of you? How did you change your driving style to adapt to them?
I'm just trying to stick behind whoever, get as much draft as I could to try and make up time. When I had that incident there towards the end, I really wanted to get past Miles at least, and I just had to use every little bit of draft I could.
Well, there you go. I mean, you walked away with a podium finish and the fastest lap to boot. So 2 podiums on the night, a win and a third is not too shabby at all. Was there anybody you would like to say hello to or thank you before you go? Anybody that you missed in race 1?
Now, guys, just the same as before. You guys, everyone here, some good racing. I love doing it.
Well, I'm glad you had a good time. I know Jack and I had a wonderful time calling the racing tonight. So thank you, and we will see you next week. I
Yes.
would hope, anyways.
Yeah, see you guys next week.
Alrighty then. See you. That was Benjamin Forrester, your 3rd place finisher tonight in the Ray Esports Racing League at Summit Point. That was 2 wonderful races to call there, Jack.
Yeah, that was a wonderful night of racing, and as usual, that's how it is. And I mean, hey, I think that about wraps it up for tonight. We had 2 good races, and I'm looking forward to coming back next week and seeing what we got. I'm not sure. I think we head to Motosport next week. Oh man, that is going to be insane. We're going out of the country. We're going to Canada. So that's going to be really fun to watch as well. And we're looking forward to everyone coming out there and watching us. And I'm excited. So from all of us at Ray Esports and Apex Racing TV, everyone have a good night.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.